Cool. Hello, everyone. Thanks, Holly, for joining today. And like always, I'll start with whoever shows up in the class, which is Holly, and then I'll just review everybody else in whatever order I click on. So yeah, hopefully this week was a little bit more fun than the past couple weeks. The female one in week 3 probably was very similar to this one, but hopefully this was a little bit more knowledgeable than the female one because it had a little bit more details and little things to deal with. Let me go to Holly's. Cool. All right. Let me load up their images. And it's been a while. It's been 2 weeks now since the last time, so I think this is from the last class, or last week's class. Ignore that. Z project. Before Holly. Mail outfit. That's from the previous week, and then yeah. That, and that's just this and that. Okay, cool. Which one? Make sure you didn't have any notes or anything. Cool. Holly, did you have any questions or any feedback or anything concerning for you while you made this one? I'm just gonna look at it quickly though. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. It's more or less just learning the program anyway, so at least you got a lot in there. Got the internal lines in there nicely. I think they got the internal lines working better in this latest version of Marvelous. I can now see many of the problems I normally see with pants and shirts. Cool. I think it looks good overall. I don't have that much on it. I think it came out pretty good. Some of the other students said they did some of the other assignments that people had questions that will answer. But yeah, the idea to week 4 is just getting the male clothing in there, which is just not that much different than doing female clothing. The idea is I just want to throw in different techniques. Somebody was asking some stuff. They're like, oh, can we do it different ways and that? But yeah, the idea is I'm just trying to throw knowledge at everybody for each class to be different than the previous class. So stuff you learn in the female class, you could obviously take it to the male class, to the male clothing, and vice versa. Do whatever you want. It's just the idea of getting ideas out there and just seeing different creative ways on how to make clothing, or just approach your artwork in a way where you don't have to always do it in a specific order or specific reasoning. As long as it looks good in the end, that's all that matters. But yeah, yeah, this male avatar is not my favorite, just because his shoulders and his lats are so wide out that it's hard to get like the shirt to line up perfectly with his arm. You have it lined up really well. It's still just awkward because this seam should be a little bit, it's kind of close, but I put a little bit more towards the shoulder, not so much on the bicep, but yeah. Yeah. So that was one of the other things they're teaching in this, was that cuff feature with rolling up, selecting it, and right clicking, roll horizontally, I believe. I always mix up horizontally and vertically, so I always save it before I do it. But it doesn't always work, because after so long, after you keep messing with it, it'll slowly undo itself and just fall apart. But I just wanted to show that the feature was in Marvelous and that you could use it. Somebody else had a comment on how they did it, but I'll get to that when I get there. But yeah, the doing the cuffs this way are not my favorite way to do it, but I end up doing it just because it comes out cleaner. Um, but yeah, usually I'll just like for the size you have here, I usually exaggerate the cuffs, pull them up as much as I can, and then because when you make this shorter, it'll shorten this, but it won't shorten because it'll shorten the cuff from the bottom of the pan. So whatever folds you have in the pans, you're kind of limited to whatever space you have here. So baggier you have here, the more successful you'll be able to add like fold. If you put a knee pad here, when you pull the pants up through the knee pad strap, you'll have more leeway with the folds in the upper leg than the lower. So if you pull this up when the knee pads are in here, this might get really short. So that's why I usually try to exaggerate some things. But I always do the cuffs at the end, anyways, just because they're finicky. But yeah, it's always just finding out a way that works most efficiently for you. And the idea is what, like I said, just throwing all this knowledge at you guys, and you figure out how you want to use it in your own way. But knowing the tools are there is usually the best way. At least that's how I learned, especially in ZBrush. It's just like there's so much in ZBrush, but when you learn ways to do it correctly or do it in different ways, there's a million ways to do one simple task, but you can do it in several different ways. So that's why I'm just throwing as much at you as I can. But yeah, it looks like you did everything nice and clean. This pocket button looks a little off-centered. I wonder which pocket is this? No, don't simulate it. I guess it looks centered there. It just doesn't look centered down there. And then at the end, like very simple, I would just smooth this out. I would take like the curve tool and just curve this up, stuff like that. It's just the final details I would do just because the sharp edge is a little awkward and stuff like that. Very easy to do. So the pocket where you cut it out, copy it, then undo it is something I found out. I didn't see that online. I think they have it where you could actually copy. Do they have it? No, I think you still have to model separately. Yeah, I think you have to. But yeah, that's a way that I just figured out the best way and most efficient way for me to do it. Instead of trying to match it as close as I can, it gets the exact copy. Obviously, you don't have to use any of the techniques I teach. Just do it how you're comfortable with. But I found that really useful. But yeah, it looks like you got that nicely on there. Pockets look great. They look like they're all holding stuff in there. And you have nothing in there. One of the techniques my friend would do on pockets before you add this, or even make this like deactivate this pattern, he would just make little squares of cloth and put them in here just to give this a little bit more like volume, so it feels like there is something in there. But the gravity looks like it's pulling it pretty efficiently this time, so I don't think it's necessary. Yours is correct, but sometimes I'll notice one thing I learned years ago from one of my art leads. So mostly on male pans, the pockets will extend past the butt region, but on females, usually they're right on the butt. So you'll notice this as you make more pants and stuff like that. You'll see the difference between male and female clothing. There's usually reasons why, or there's just more common instances between common differences between the two that are just for aesthetic reasons, but it's just how society works at the moment. This looks nice, the whole pants, the whole spot for the belt. One thing which I never really got into doing in Marvis is adding belts. If you add a belt, the problem will be, since this is a back facing, if you try to add a belt, it's just going to slide through this. It won't actually hold it. So either you'll have to make this a full loop and then make an inside to it and then put it in, or you stitch it in, say, the top edge. I didn't find a great way to do belts that I found great results from. So usually I would do something like this, and I would just model it in high poly model it in afterwards. But now looking at it, the belt does look a little thin here. I'd probably make this a little bit bigger, just because that would be a very thin belt going through here. Most pants are made wide enough to fit multiple sizes of belts. I think everything else looks good there. Yeah, one thing I normally see on the back, people normally have where the folds look like a U here. It looks very awkward, and that's usually something I try to prevent. But you have a nice little twisting action going on, so it actually looks really nice. If it's a low poly game model, you're not going to be able to mirror it because of how the folds are. It looks very awkward, but how it is currently, it adds a little bit of interest. So I always have this issue on my models. It might be this model in particular, but the shirt rides up really far on his throat, and then you get this like V shape here. So sometimes I would pull this up higher on the back one and then pull the front down lower. So you'll see a little bit more of the chest and less of the back. Usually those shirts ride up a little bit higher on the neck region. So that's one other little detail. Patch looks good, folds look good. But yeah, that's about it. I think everything else came out pretty nice. Pretty smooth, all the details look pretty nice. So I hope that as you're creating them, you save iterations. I try to say this a few times in class. If you save iterations, if you ever need to go back and be like, oh, I need a basic pants pattern, here it is, or I need a basic pants pattern that I already added some internal lines or added some pockets to, I could start from this mesh. If you keep a little folder with all different iterations of basic clothing, at least it'll be a little bit quicker in the future. So you don't have to remake the same basic pants, basic shirt. It just saves a little time. Obviously, it's not going to always fit the same character, size, proportions, but at least it's something to start from that might actually help. Yeah, other than that, it looks pretty solid. Good job, Holly. Yeah, I'll just move on to somebody else. Looks awesome. You're welcome. Done. All right, let me go in order of my alphabet folder structure. So Danny. Danny. All right, I got color pants and costume, and I got reference. Okay, which one am I going to go to first? Oh, color pants. No. Color pants. Okay. All right, let me reference. All right, so this is just female reference, and the male is just. I think you have more questions on the female avatar. Let me look at the male one first. Custom came out pretty nice. Knee pads came out nice. One thing I try to do on the knee pads, this usually happens when you do it. You get the folds going vertically. I usually tend to try to have them go horizontally just because this is a part where it would animate in game. So when you bend, when the folds are vertical, doesn't look as clean. So that's why it takes some finagling, some finessing to get them looking horizontally. This side looks, on the inside of the leg looks a little bit better just because it will fold a little bit better. Even though this is more natural, it's just, it's hard. It's a little hard game to play sometimes. So at the very end, I would try to unmirror and delete the seam or put this to not a fold so you don't actually even see it. There might just be the internal lines just showing it. I never know where these things are. I did stand up. If you looked at Holly's, you can see the button's pretty much in the middle there. This feels a little lopsided. That it's a little too far over. The button should be in the middle, and then the seam should be going down a little bit. It shouldn't be this far apart. It just doesn't look natural. Watch out for the pants bending down so much in the back. Sometimes you could pull up the back on the pattern up a little bit higher, so this you have a little bit more space and this awkward bend down. Pockets I would extend a little bit farther past the butt. They are a little bit past it, but I would extend a little bit farther than move this pocket down a little bit so you don't get a weird tangent or they hit each other. So when you add like the little trim on the pants, watch out for this excess bend just because that sometimes is hard to make a low poly model on top of it. This will bake down weirdly or it will just be hard to make a low poly model to follow this form exactly. But just watch out for that kind of stuff. Those look good. The strap looks like you got in there pretty solid. Yeah, this guy isn't the best to do these straps. It's just I chose this model because it's free and it shows some troubles with how. Oh no, this is not that model. This is the model. But this muscle seems really large. I think that's why. Next would be, yeah, so I would try to make these straps so they go down on the lower, on the body instead of even touching the arm. The arm is going to stretch a lot, so if you get a little bit of space between the armpit and the strap, when he raises his arm, you don't have that texture stretching when you make a low poly model baked and textured all ways. So I would watch it because right now this is on the side body, on the tricep and the armpit. It's going to stretch to all hell. I'll try to avoid that. You might even want to put a little internal line and stitch it down so it doesn't get pulled onto the arm. So watch stuff like that. It should just end right at the seam line or before it so it doesn't interfere with anything. Sure, looks good. At the end, you could take the shirt and you could just choose these lines. And then you could merge, I believe. Hopefully it doesn't crash. Yeah, so you don't get that seam down there and it's more natural. Same thing with this, I would adjust this so this falls the neck a little bit better and a little bit higher on the back. Front looks almost correct. It doesn't go down. It doesn't go up so high and it doesn't go down too far. So I think that's correct. I would just adjust it around the side, neck, and back. If you had questions on the next one. But yeah, that looks good. So those are the few notes I would do to change that. Cargo band. Questions on this one. The waistband. Collar. I think this is just a shirt that has a flap over, so it's like I don't know the name of the shirt, but it just goes over here. It's basically just like how you would have a jacket. It might have a seam going all the way down or stitched in here just to make it a little design aesthetic to the shirt. So, and that's what it looks like. It looks like the seam there. So this you could have stitching. Like you could have this top section cut out differently, and then have this backside stitch into this line, have it loop around, and have this stitch into this side so it's overlap this whole area, and then flip this over by putting an internal line. And then doing like when I did the collar, you grab the internal line and rotate on that and rotate this piece over. I can't demonstrate that quick enough, but yeah, hopefully you understood that or have an idea of how I would do that. And then the waist strap. I'm not sure which waist strap you're talking about. The waistband. I can see it as a belt strap. I think it's acting as a belt. It's going around the body. I think you have the belt right. This looks good on the pants, how you have it. This might be a nice area, nice time to do pelting. There's a video on Marvel's website that goes over pelting. I try explaining in my classes, but something I have to do over and over to get it correct because I mess it up. Marvelous designer. Probably. This is not something I ever really knew how to do correctly. You can sit with me down. Here. So I would do this tutorial just because pelting is always a pain. You just got to know, like, all this stitches into there. So, like, it's just zigzagging the stitching. You'll see. Oh, they had the pelt button. I forgot. I did this before they had the pelt button, which was a nightmare. So you have to stitch it back and forth, this into there, and this one into there. Because for every 3, you have 1 that stitches into, so it goes back and forth, I recommend messing around with this tutorial when you have time if you're really into Marvelous and learning how pelting works. It's a feature that I always have a problem with. I hated doing it, but it turns out great. It's not exactly what you would do here, but knowing that would help probably. And you could technically do it on these 3 so this overlaps instead of just doing internal lines. That are just like, it's like sculpting on top of, it's like sculpting folds without pushing it into itself. So I don't know. I recommend watching that and messing around with it and learning the pelting correctly. That's one thing I never put in the video in the class. Well, that looks good. Yeah. I guess that's for sure. I would even this out so this gap up here is the same size of the gap on the bottom, so it's not hanging on too far, but it's good. Full skin on nice. I like dropping. Details really nice. Internal lines really help. So you put on curved geometry, so that's why you're getting like this subtle hole between this, but it actually adds a little bit. It just, I guess it kind of has that. It is nice. Put the leather on here, it looks good. Holding form, let's see if I can see more. Let's see if it loses form. Bum, 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 bum. Hopefully everybody's enjoying this class. Yeah, I held out really well. Let's see. You put pressure on there. You put on trim hardware to him. That's all. Cool. Yeah, the leather reads nice. It reads like thick leather. Got the folds on there. It reads a little bit better than the same default material and everything. But yeah, the strap I think you did correctly if that's what you're asking about this strap. I'm not sure if you're talking about a different strap. I only see this one, the belt strap. But how you did it is exactly what I would do. It's good. Pants look good. You got folds on there nice. I might try to emphasize a little bit more of this, but you could also do that in ZBrush afterwards. Yeah, pants look great. I think if you tackle the jacket next, it will help. Let's see. Yeah, I think this works how you did it. Again, I would try to have this follow the neck a little bit more. But technically, you could make, I would have made this stitched in here, have this shape go down, try to make the same shape go around. So it's like a square here or a round or a V. So this is one piece cut into here, but yeah, exactly how you did it. But yeah, what I would have done instead of, it looks like you just probably took it and folded over. I would have just put an internal line there, grabbed and then rotated on that internal line so it flips it over, but you got the same result, so it doesn't mean that. No, I think it looks good. And then yeah, you learn how to make a scarf, even though it's not tangled, but you can mess around with that. Once you add all the details like she has, it'll look great. Stuff like this little mechanical and the generic kind of sci-fi piece on here, you could probably just do that high poly model afterwards if you wanted, if you're making the exact outfit. But overall, yeah, looks good. That's one other thing I wanted to put in this class, but it was I never found Marvelous really good at it, or my time scale was never efficient to do it. Making gloves in Marvelous. I made gloves before, and if I remember to load it up, I can load the one I have that I did years ago. But I found it more efficient just to sculpt it in Maya and ZBrush, just because usually folds gloves don't have that many folds. These have a little bit more folds than the normal because it's leather and they get a little bit more wrinkly, so you might want to mess around with that. But yeah, I think it came out good. Close that. Pants look nice. So, again, after this is unmirrored, I just um, unsymmetrize it and then just delete this internal line or turn off fold rendering. That looks good. Oh crap. Let me look at that one more time. I guess you can't tell. I guess there's no straps going down on there. You don't see it, but maybe I would put belt loops on here just to give a little bit more interest reading when you do final details. If you're going to take this all the way to the end. It looks good though. Good job, Danny. Hopefully that answers all your questions. I'm going to jump to Kevin, I think. Just because. So, Kevin, your ZBrush file, when I try to open it again. Actually, that's your ZBrush file. The rare file, I get this error. The archive is either unknown or formatted or damaged. So, again, I can't open it. I think I had issues with yours last week. So I don't know why. And I think you only put reference folder in here. Yeah. So I'm sorry I can't open it. Let me change this to a zip file. See if the naming got messed up or no. Yeah, I can't open that file, so sorry. I can't review it. So if you in week 5, you just put the files, whatever you worked on, into week 5. I'll review it during week 5. Don't try to re-upload it in week 4 or email me it because I'll probably forget about it or mix it up with some other files. So just attach it in week 5 if you want me to review anything, because right now I can't open up anything. Sorry, Kevin. That's the one I want to get through. No questions on that one, and then. I don't think I downloaded this file. Let me download this file really quick. This is Chondro. I think I have this, but let me download. Alright, I found it. Oh yeah, right. I don't know if I have the full file. Right, I'm gonna go to Chondro anyways. Wait. Oh, no, I gotta make this is doing a series. Sorry. I did have that file. Never mind. Okay. Let me go over Chondro just because you had some questions, and your file is a CPAC file. No, do the wrong one. Oop. Sorry. All right. So yeah, you had the questions about the pants cup. When I was talking about holiday stuff, I was holding off for this one. You would say, no, that's fine if you didn't finish everything. Just learn what you can. Question about the pan cup. So the pan cups, you're asking you do them separately and not do an extension to the pan. It doesn't make a complete difference. I feel like it normally looks a little bit more natural as one whole piece, and it makes clothing makes it more realistic in that way. But I don't think you get different results. I think it's safer to do it the way you've done it, where you cut it off and stitch it in. I've done this before, and I'd rather do it this way, honestly. But the idea to my course was to teach different functions and tools of the program, so that's why I did that way. But yeah, how you've done it, I would personally do it this way. I did it the other way before. Whichever way is depending on my time on my schedule on the project. I would do it this way if I had tight deadlines. I'd do it the other way if I had long deadlines, just to make it more proper and marvelous. It looks good. Colors are not my top choice, but it looks good. You didn't, obviously, yeah, like you said, you didn't finish everything, so you don't have a lot of detailing with the different pockets, straps, and stuff like that. The normal thing I try to point out always is watch out the folds on shirts. This avatar is very funky in a way because his chest is so wide and big, but you get the folds that look mirrored on left and right and these big vertical folds going down. It doesn't feel natural. And you get this big hanging fold, U fold at the very back. And if you go outside, he looks fat because of how far back his chest is puffy, and he has an arch in his back. So sometimes I wouldn't add a dart on here to fill up the space, but I would probably make this a little less. I might put a curve in here or something just to fill up that space because of the model itself. This is actually a good time to use the seam brush and just remove some of this on here instead of actually messing with this. It's just completely avatar. Yeah, for what I can reveal, it's good. The cuffs look good. Pants are baggy. Obviously, you can add all the details. So it's hard to say anything. So here's a good example. I would prefer the folds on his left knee, back knee, just because it feels more horizontal. So when he bends, it will feel more natural. On his right leg, when it bends, this is going to bend a little bit more funky, a little bit more unnatural, just because you're not using morphing normal maps, blend maps with your normal maps to blend two different fold patterns together. This is going to just look awkward, and the model is just going to pinch in there where this will feel more natural on the left leg. Again, the back pants pockets, I would pull them a little bit farther down. Usually male pockets are longer and bigger. Not all pants have, just to point out, not all pants always has like a pocket protector that goes that has a little sleeve on top. So sometimes I wouldn't add that, but the button is sometimes necessary just because sometimes your jeans don't ever have that. They almost never have that. Just going to see. Yeah, you're looking to cut that out. You cut that out. Yeah. That's good. And if the fly looks a little wide here. I think you're missing a belt loop. Oh no, you got one there. This one might want to be back a little bit further. They're usually more evenly spaced. They're different on most pens, but yeah. So overall, looks good. Everybody's doing a great job this semester. Look at the pattern view. I don't know why you had all these dots in there to curve it out. It might have just been when you had one edge in there, you just used the round feature. But that's a lot of edges, dots. You didn't do it on the other side. I don't know why you just did it on the one side. But yeah, everything else is pretty solid. The arm, the sleeve looks good. Tapering it a little bit. I probably wouldn't taper the sleeve in that much. I'd give a little more leeway personally, but you didn't reference anything in your design, so it looks good. So those are just my few notes I had for your stuff, Caldra. Fuel. Fuel. Hopefully that helped your tough question. All right, let me go on to Sabrina. She has a very unique outfit. I think you submitted a marvelous file. No, you just have the images. You have 4 images, you have 4 images. So this is obviously what you're referencing. Just give me a second to look it over. Dun, dun, dun. I think you did a pretty good job. Let me try to open up another. Oh, there. I just want to have 2 of these open so I can look at the reference line. Oh, yeah. So just a few things that I noticed. Pockets, I believe on these kind of pants are usually just straight down from the seam. They don't actually go like this. You might have to look up more reference or find exactly how they go. They might just separate a little bit, but this looks a lot wider there. You're missing, you might have it on belt loops. I can't tell. Can't tell the other belt loops. Obviously, the reference is a little bit low res. It's hard to see. This looks like he has a pinch onto his shirt and it's coming off. It isn't F patch like how you have it. It would have been nice if you made the tie. Ties are a pain in the butt to get the knot in there. That's another time where you got to tie a knot or just fudge it by stitching in a couple of different pieces. So, no. Oh. That's right, it is. I think the folds look really nice on here, the cuffs you have on there. I can't tell if you model the cuffs or just add an internal line. I can't tell. The pleating down the middle looks nice. I see. Yeah. I can see the crotch seems to just go down really far with the fly, but it's hard to see the reference. Color looks big. The color looks a little big and too far out. I think it's more of a natural color that goes down. I don't think he There's a pocket on his sleeve. Other than that, biggest thing would be the pockets and how the strap works. He's going around his chest a little bit too much. I'm gonna try to get it a little bit higher up on his shoulder and going down more natural and fix the collar. The buttons, the folds here look nice. The pants look well. The cuffs, I don't know if you did the other technique or just an internal line. Hard to see. That's cool. I like the idea you went with unique. Nobody ever done something like that in my class so far. Looks good, Sabrina. And then on to Glynis. Let's see where. I think there's the Z project file. No Z pack file. You didn't have questions for project file. Yeah, I have I'm opening the garment. Two files in here. Sorry. No, there's a one. Anything's always sent. There's a reference. I think this is on. Yeah, there's a. I think this is the same site I use for clothing. It's very unique. It's has a lot of cool clothing styles in it. So yeah, that's a good reference site. It's the same site I use. I don't know if it's gonna have a book on. Let's see. Let me see. Yeah, I think that's the reference that I use. This is another good site that I use. This is 60s, 70s clothing, so there's a lot of different clothing in that era reference. Depending on what you're doing, I just had it bookmarked. I didn't use this site for a long time. I had it bookmarked, but it has a lot of old time clothes that it's a little bit more pain to find sometimes than that. But yeah, this site, I think this is probably what you use. Is the female one. There's men somewhere. This is not in. Oh, yes. That's they used to be men's. Yeah, so this site had a lot of cool stuff to reference. Obviously, way too expensive for clothing, but yeah, it has awesome reference for different styles, different pockets, fold, length, and just how different upper body clothing goes. It's really cool, but that's a good reference if that's what you're using. Good. I'm gonna turn off that battery pattern though, so you can folds now. Yeah, I use the textures in this program. But for now, I'll do it. Sorry. I messed it up now. Nope, I'm good. All right. Keep in mind where your elbow bends, just so you have some geometry there for where it bends, and the folds don't get too stretchy If this is right where the elbow bends, it's going to look weird because how elbows bend with and how this would stretch. All the details you did on here, the internal lines really add a lot of nice little noise and detail. The zipper looks a little big, but that's the easy setting to change. Unless there's a zipper that's super down. Looks good though. I don't know. It looks like you might have tried the cuffs and they kind of undid themselves. Uh, like the other person said, you could just cut it off and just stitch in a new piece to make the cuffs. But in this class, at least, it would have been nice for you to just keep messing with it to try to get it correct, just because that's a feature you might end up using at some point, and it's nice to know where it is and how to use it. The pants are a little simple. I would add some pockets or something on there, straps. Like these always have some kind of detail. They have elasticity on the knee area. They add fold pockets. Usually the pants they reference are not too clean. Even if someone has these long straps on the top hip. This has some cool internal lines and stuff. Watch out for folds like that. When you use this feature, which I don't think you actually use there, it doesn't look like it. Also, be cautious on this, just because when you pinch stuff, when you pull in ZBrush, you're going to always notice little pinching in there. You're going to have to smooth them out. I ran into that problem too many times, and I stopped using those pins. But yeah, it looks good otherwise. You get folds, you got nice details on this. Everything's stitched in well. This looks nice. This might also be nice to do pelting on it instead, just because it's just the internal lines. When I first glanced at it, it was just looking like low poly. Edges that are all hardened going vertically. But also depends on how it is material-wise in the very end, texture it and finalize it. And some of these, let's see if we can reference it. I feel like all these lines are a little bit too noisy, but if you're just designing stuff having fun, not a big deal. I just find it a little too noisy. Everything's fighting, different angles are fighting with everything. Their stuff is very, everything goes together with how they have everything. Nothing fights with itself. This pocket, I wouldn't taper it there. Yeah, you taper the shape here, and they're not even on each side. So be careful on stuff like that. Just zoom down and look at it. People will notice something's off. Not everybody will be like, oh yeah, it's just a little lopsided on one side or something. It just feels off. This is a weird design. I don't know if there's anything here. Nice. Having fun with it at least. Otherwise, fighting stuff there. Something fighting there. You have it. Let's just do the texture. Yeah, I don't really have much on this because this is such a specific style that it's just folds and stitching randomly. There's not much logic to it, so it's hard to judge and say, oh yeah, this doesn't look right or this doesn't make sense. But it looks good. So my main feedback is try to mess with the cuffs, see if you can get that working. You don't have to resubmit. I'm just saying good stuff. Yeah, you should just learn and understand. The waist, the hips, I would add some kind of detail, either strap, pocket, buckles, something. This pattern is noisy in my opinion, but obviously that's just specific style. The zipper's too big, and the internal lines here are getting a little too noisy. It's fighting the design elements and all that stuff. And this pocket is uneven. Otherwise, it looks good. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. Thanks for turning it in. And let me see, I think that was everybody's assignments. That's everybody's, and then let me go to week 5. Week 5 should already have been unlocked. Somebody needed to get it done earlier just because they're not available. So I unlocked it earlier for people to do. Week 5. Yeah, if you see my files too, I have mail shirt video. So I actually, everything I did before I did a video. So I had to redo it. I had to do it a second time. Yeah. So week 5, let me talk about it really quickly, is more of a technical week. I threw in a hoodie in there, which you could make for a female, a male, or some kind of jacket. Doesn't matter. The idea there is just a different way to do just the way how I would make a hoodie and make sure it fits on top of the head, and then you can fold it down so it's down or up, but you have it in there the right proportions. I talk about how I made zippers at the time on there, how I stitch it in and just use the free stitching. Nowadays we have the zipper feature in Marvelous, so you don't have to hack it the way I've done it. But yeah, just showing different ways to do things. Besides that, that was the only, I just threw that in there just so there's some kind of clothing in week 5, just because some people don't want to know the technical stuff that's taken my course. But otherwise, I threw in technical stuff just because I wanted to get through everything that I could in the class. So you'll go over animating folds in Marvelous. I don't really use the animation tab that often. I was trying to use it when I was at Turtle Rock just because we were trying to do blend math, but I never got around to actually integrating that into the game because the game got canceled. But yeah, so I just want to show how that is. I give you a script to use it, but to get animation from Maya into Marvelous, but now you could, I believe you could just import in an FBX with a skeleton or animation attached and it will work just fine. I believe. I've always done it through the script. Besides that, the ZRemesher and the Maya transfer topology video, I find those really useful. If you're going to go into game modeling or just in general using ZBrush often and need to transfer between ZBrush, Maya, and Marvelous, I find these videos very useful and very helpful in general. It'll show, if you don't already know how to do it, it'll show you how to add thickness to something and keep subdivision levels in ZBrush, and then how to convert copy stuff over in Maya from the UV channel to a mesh, vice versa, however. They're not necessary to do. You don't have to really know how to do them nowadays. Since ZBrush usually make a whole new model normally, and subdivisions aren't as necessary as they were back in the day. And back in the day, I mean a couple of years ago. Nowadays, it's just not as necessary. But I think it's good to know. It makes your meshes easy to maintain, modify as you create. But yeah, that's what I have in there. Feel free, for people that aren't as technical, just do the hoodie if you want, and throw in something else if you want to do for the homework assignment. The animating the folds, the transfer topology, the ZRemesher. You don't have to turn in anything for that. I just put it in the assignment just so you guys could learn it and know how it works. So that's it. I want to go through. I have 5 minutes left. I just want to show the quick thing if you can find it. The glove. Gotta read 17 now. Pack file. Pack. Project file. Let me open this real quick. No. Sorry. This is 2016. I have this. Oh, I think this is the glove I did. So yeah, so in Marvelous, I did a quick glove on you. The thing to try to remember is always get a little distance between each finger. Don't just have this pinched together. So when this is stitched into here, there's just not one vert that really they're sharing, two fingers share. Try to give a little space between the gap. And then you can stitch that in. I did a little darting just to give a little bit more texture on the bottom. These are more like soft cloth gloves than leather gloves. But as you can tell, you could do it the same thing. Put the leather pattern on here, make this a little bit longer to give a little bit more folds onto here, add some elasticity, stuff like that. But yeah, this was the pattern I did. You can find patterns online to use. I think I found a pattern that was similar to this. I tried to do the fingers as one piece, but it's just a nightmare. So personally, I would do something like this, and then afterwards, if I wanted to, you could probably, I think you could now. I don't think in the day you're able to. Let me see what is stitched into where. That didn't want to stitch in there. Guess that didn't want to do it how I wanted to do. I thought you would be able to. Maybe this is all file, but the merging should have merged this into there so you don't have a seam there or anything like that. But yeah, making gloves in Marvelous is doable, and I've seen better gloves than what this is right now because this was the early stage and this was just more concept development. But yeah, I saw people make great boots in Marvelous and stuff like that too. So don't be afraid to do everything in Marvelous. Some things you can't do exactly like hard surface, obviously, but you can make some good stuff. That concludes week 4, and then next week is the last week. So please, if you have any questions, comments, or anything else that you want to know for week 5 homework, I'll probably get through fairly quickly, so I should have time at the very end to go over anything. Otherwise, I'll probably just pull up some old stuff I've done and just talk about things randomly. If you have portfolio or any questions on that, please just put in the comments. I'll go over that at the end of the class. Otherwise, I think that's it for week 4. Thanks for showing up, Holly. And everyone else, good job. You're welcome. I'll talk to you next week if you're on. Goodbye and good night. Bye.